Hello everybody. Today I have a single page layout for you. I was gonna try to do a double page, but I can't find the rest of the action shots from my kids' softball and baseball season. So maybe in a future video I will create the companion page to this one and show you ways to add a second page to a single page. But for now I've got the team shots, and I'm doing a challenge with my friends at the creative design team, and we are using only cardstock in our videos this week, and that's because Close to My Heart is having their Cardstock Carnival sale, so all the cardstock is on sale. So be sure to check out everybody else's videos this week. I wanted to walk you through my color choices because I know this is a big thing that a lot of people struggle with, is how to choose the colors, how to choose the paper for your photos, because you want your photos to stand out, right? So first let me show you the sketch that I'm using, and this is a really great way when you're having trouble starting a layout is to use a sketch. And we have put out a brand new 12 by 12 sketchbook just in the last couple of months, and they're all double page sketches. But I'm just going to use this side for my layout today, and then if I can find the other photos, I think my husband might have some, then I will add this second page and coordinate it with this one. But for now I'll just be using this side. We have the cutting guides and everything in the sketchbook, so I will link this down below in the description. It is a digital download. So I'm going to have that off to the side, and I should point out my inspiration. Well, I have the two photos that fit this, but also I thought that these torn pieces right here would be really cool to mimic the sand on the baseball field. So I have craft cardstock for that. You can use toffee or acorn or anything that's a tan color that you have. I just decided to use craft because I have a whole lot of it, and it's got kind of a fun texture to it. So I've pulled that, and that's going to be my torn pieces at the bottom. And then my daughter's team is this really bright orange. So I have, I think this is Nectarine. This is the brightest orange that I had, and I think that that's going to work nicely. And then I pulled out Evergreen because that matches one of the coach's shirts here. There's a lot of deeper green in the back of these photos, and so I've got that. Now there is a brighter green in both of these photos in the grass. There's also a brighter sky, but I decided not to pull in those colors because, especially since they're in the background of the photo, that's going to help the photos to really pop. And so you don't necessarily want to bring in every color that you find in your photos, because some of those colors, when they're only in the photo, it's going to help them pop. Now I am going to bring in black because there's black in all of these. So that is going to be our color that's really going to tie everything together. And then I've got a couple of grays. This light one is linen, and that matches my son's team shirts pretty well. And I haven't decided if I'm actually going to use that as my base page or if I'm going to bring that in as an accent. I often will use white as my base page because I just like starting with a nice crisp white and then bringing in colors. So we'll see as I get going which one I'm going to use. And I also pulled in this gray. I think this is Whisper, which is a retired color, in case I wanted to bring in just a little bit darker gray. And I also pulled some black glitter paper because I just like adding bling, and I thought, you know what, black isn't too blingy, but it adds a little bit of bling because I like to add bling. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear this up, and oop, I hear a dog coming in. Oh, here's Coda. This is our new baby. We named him Coda, and he joined our family a couple weeks ago. He's just checking it out, saying hi. Yeah, there's the blending brushes. All right, say bye, Coda. Peace out. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on this layout. So here we are with the base page. I've got the linen here, and then just for fun, I have the white, and it's very stark because I don't have a ton of embellishments planned at this point. I did cut these from my Cricut, and the baseballs or softballs being white doesn't really show up. So I do think that I am going to go with the linen, and I'm thinking that I'm going to have this kind of tucked under here. Originally, I was going to have my photos arranged like this because then I have more space to overlap this and then maybe tuck this under here. But to me, this has more people in the photo and it's a brighter color and it has more color in the background. So it feels a little heavier and it feels to me like it should be on the bottom to help ground the layout. And then I can still overlap it just a little bit. I have this one ball a little bit bigger than the other ones. I cut 3 because if I'm going to keep this as a single layout, then I want to have 3 embellishment points. But I really think I have some more photos I can add later, so I'm going to go ahead and leave this one off. But if I was going to do a single layout, I would probably do something like this, so we've got our visual triangle. But I'm going to go ahead and leave that one off. And then this one, I want those little laces to kind of stick out a little bit. Can be like this. I'll have my title over here, just like the layout, the sketch shows. And then we've got sort of a diagonal going like this. So your eye is still drawn across the photos. And if I add the second page, I will add that 3rd embellishment point. So just like the sketch shows, we've got 2 embellishment points on this one, and then your eye is drawn across here. All right, so the sketch shows some strips going on the top and bottom, and then of course we're gonna have those sand mounds. So before I do my sand mounds, I wanna figure out what colors I'm gonna do on the top and bottom. So I pulled a couple of evergreen strips, and I'm thinking that those are gonna go on the top and bottom, like this. And I think that's a good way to bring in the dark green that's in the shirt and in the fence in the back without being overwhelming. And then I have a couple of glitter paper strips like I talked about. I like the addition of just this little bit of bling, and I need to watch this embellishment up here that it's not going to get in the way. And then the sketch called for 3 strips up here. So I thought maybe if I bring a little bit more of the orange up here, I think I want to separate the green and the black because those are both dark colors and the orange is so much brighter. So I think that that looks good right in between there. And I'm wondering if I want to have the same thing on the bottom. That's not in the original, but since it is such a bright pop of color, I feel like it's a little more balanced having it on the top and bottom. So I think I am liking that. And so then for my little strips, I am just going to tear them. Now the measurements, like I said, are in the sketch. But I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and tear them how I want. Since I've torn one, now I have this torn edge, so I can just simply trim this next one. And then I'll just go ahead and trim this one while I have my trimmer out. And then I can just tear a little bit off of one side. Okay, so I have my 3 strips. I'm going to do a little bit of an inking technique to those, but I just want to make sure that those are good sizes. So I'll probably layer them underneath those strips. Something like this. And I think that that looks good. It doesn't need to go up super high. And I also like it being behind this photo now that I have this laid out. This photo already has the brown in the back, and so it's just kind of blending into the background. So I'm glad that I made that switch. I think that was a good call. I'm going to go ahead and scoot this off to the side while I do my inking on these pieces here. I want to give them kind of a sand look. So I pulled out this is Background Elements, this stamp set. I have used this stamp before in past videos where I did beach layouts, and I used this as a sand texture. So I'm going to do that again. And I'm going to use toffee ink. You could also use acorn or anything that is similar. And I've got this on my block. Now this is a very well-loved stamp. I've used it a ton, so I don't necessarily have to do a practice inking. Now, Close to My Heart stamp sets, if you're using one of theirs, come with this foam insert that you can put underneath. I don't think I necessarily need that with this, but I'll just try it out. Yeah, I think I'm going to be fine without it. Now, something to keep in mind is when you do stamp it, the ink dries back a lot lighter than you see it here, especially on the craft paper, because the craft paper is more porous than the normal cardstock. So sometimes I will go over it twice just to make sure that it's really going to show up. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up from here on out. I'm just doing that same thing across each piece. I'm going to show you just this first piece, and I'm going over each area twice to make it really dark. Now, you could just do it once. If you want a more subtle look and you don't want it to be really dark, just do one stamp over each area. And then I'm also going over it with my blending brush just to kind of give it a little bit more depth and deepen the color at the top. And I think that that looks really good. Once I finish with all of the ink blending, I'm just going to go over each piece with my nail. And I'm just kind of like scratching it with my nails. You don't need to have long nails for this. Mine aren't long. Just to give it a little bit of roughness and dimension. Again, this is totally optional. And just like that, with the magic of editing, boom, they are all done. So we're going to go ahead and put them on our layout now. I'm going to scooch my other pieces out of the way so that I can dry fit them. I find that it's easiest to start with the one that's going to be at the top, and then you can layer each subsequent one on top going down. I'm going to have my title above where the glove is, but there's still a lot of blank space. So if you know me, when in doubt, add some splatters. So I'm adding some black shimmer brush splatters just behind the two little embellishment clusters. I end up having a couple little mishaps with these splatters. That stamp set that I was using does have a couple of splatter stamps, so that is sometimes a better option if you want more controlled splatter, because I smeared a couple spots, but I'll end up showing you how I fixed those. While I glue these pieces down, I wanted to take a minute to let you know about the Creative Design Team's membership. I've mentioned it here before, and I know that a lot of you are in our membership, and if you are, let everybody know down in the comments how amazing it is. We hear from our members all the time about how much they love our classes, and not just the classes and everything they learn, but the community. And that is something that we've worked so hard to build, is such an amazing crafting community over in our private membership group on Facebook. So we've had a lot of people ask about if we're going to be opening our membership since the announcement of Close to My Heart closing. And so the 7 of us thought about it and decided, why not? We don't always have our registration open, but we wanted to invite those of you who are interested in joining our community. We are open only through March 25th now, and then we will close our doors again. So why not try it out? There's no commitment. If you decide that it's not for you, you can cancel your membership at any time, but we know that you are going to love it, and we're only open 2 or maybe 3 times a year, so you can't always get in, but we would love to have you over there, and I will have all of that information down in the description below. All right, now back to the layout. I decided I needed a few more little splatters, but this is where I'm going to mess up one of the splatter areas. There were a couple blobs that came off a little too big, and my photo slid over and totally smeared those. And this is where I was like, oh crap. So I'm going to fix it though. I'm going to get all of these pieces out of the way first and work on some stamping that I'm going to add as embellishments. And I'm thinking that I can cover that big blob with an embellishment. So first I've got this bigger, faster, stronger stamp set. This has coordinating dies, and it is in the clearance section on my Close to My Heart website currently. So go and grab it. It's a really, really good deal, over 50% off. And actually that other
set that I'm going to use too, I'll end up bringing that in later on. That is in the clearance section as well. And there's a ton of other stamp and die sets also. My Close to My Heart website will remain open through April 30th, so you'll still be able to shop through then. So I'm putting all of these little stamps that I think I'm going to use on blocks. I'm choosing the ones that just have dies because I just want to use them as embellishments and be able to cut them out. And I'd say probably half of them have coordinating dies. So, and I'm stamping them in all of the colors, the Nectarine, Archival Black, and Evergreen. Archival Black is just what I prefer to use over black because it's a little bit darker and more vivid of a black. So you can use regular black or intense black or any black that you have. So now that I have those stamped in each color, I'll cut them out with the coordinating dies and be right back. I've decided to use this outlined alphabet die set for my title. This has been on back order because it's been so popular. It's expected again in April though. So when you cut it out in each color, you get the outline and the inside. So I cut each letter with black and white, and that gave me the white that I wanted on the inside and the black for the outline. I tried it with the white as the outline, but the white outline blended in a little bit too much with the background, so it stands out better with the black outline. And I decided to title this Play Ball because we have softball and baseball, so I didn't want to use like a baseball title or a softball title, but just a generic Play Ball works, and it fits really nicely in that space as well. Now I'm going to add the little stamped images that I made. I thought I would put a little subtitle here over the softball, baseball, whatever it is. And I went with the biggest fan one. I thought that was a better shape and size. And then I've got the foam finger and the trophy. And I realized that I wanted to kind of mix around the colors that are in each cluster. So I'm going to switch out the foam finger here, and then instead of the foam finger on the left, I'm going to add the trophy, and then realize I wanted something else that was green down there. I didn't like another little word sentiment. I wanted another icon. So I pulled out my stamp set again, and I found the water bottle that I hadn't used yet. So I'm going to stamp that in green and add that to this little cluster over here. And I think that the colors all look balanced now. I'm going to pop the little word pieces up on thin 3D foam just to give them a little bit of dimension since they're each kind of like the top piece on the embellishment cluster. And by the way, I found a T-ball double page layout that I did quite some time ago. So if you'd like some other inspiration for a sports theme layout, I'm going to show you that at the end of this layout when I show you the close-ups of this one. And then I'll also show you the original layout that I made, which is actually not too far back on my channel, that this sketch was inspired by. This is one of the sketches that I came up with for the sketchbook, and it was based off of another layout I did. So you'll see another idea for this sketch with a snow layout. I found when adhering this outline alphabet that it's easiest when you put the outline down first because it is making the inside piece wider, and so it helps a little bit more with the spacing. I'm just going to show you a couple of the letters and then I'll get the rest of them put together off screen. So it's really quite simple, and I'm using my T-square ruler to help. But when I was gluing them down, I smeared one of the black splatters with the glue that had oozed out. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to cover it up with a star. I got out my black and white dots, and I think that the star dots work nicely here with the baseball softball theme, and actually the T-ball layout I did that I'm going to show you has stars on it too. They always work really well with sports layouts, I found. So I just scattered a few of the white stars, and I'm going to pull in this tiny little baseball from this stamp set, and I will link this set and all the others I used down in the description below, everything that's available. And again, it will be available only till April 30th, except for that background stamp set that is retired. But I'm just going to stamp this around just a few little spots on the layout. I'm not sure I actually love that, but I'm committed now, and I don't think I can cover those up. I covered up my little shimmer brush smudges. I didn't point it out earlier, actually, on the right-hand side where I have that word decoration. That covered one of the smears. And then of course the star covered up the other one I did. But I did have the idea while I had this little baseball out that it would be cute to add a little border along this green strip, and it was just the perfect size. So I tried it out on a bigger piece first just to see if I would like it, and I did. So I've got that going across the top and the bottom, and here is a close-up look at how everything turned out. I love all of the layers in the little embellishment clusters, as well as the layers of faux sand. And let me bring in, first I'll bring in the layout that this sketch was based off of. So there's the snowbanks. I did in the same way. They just go up a little bit higher, and then I have some bigger embellishment clusters. And then here is the right-hand side page of that same layout. So you may recognize that from the sketch. It's exactly the sketch. So here it is, and I based the sketch exactly off this layout. And then let me bring in that T-ball layout. Let me get this back in place here. And here is that. So like I said, a lot of stars for embellishments. That always works well with sports layouts I've found, and just change up the colors. Don't forget to check out the rest of the creative design team's cardstock only layouts. You can find them in the playlist on the right. And if you'd like to see that snow layout that my sketch was based off of, that video is on the left. Thanks for watching.